Welcome to my channel, that is Professor LPT. In previous lecture I have discussed as a introductory on byproducts utilization briefly. Today's topic is about hide and skin, and this topic I will have two different lectures. In the first topic about handling and preservation of hide and skin. In this topic I will discuss about what is hide and skin and their source, classification, and including about the flaying and different kind of defects in hide and skin due to disease or other due to faulty handling. And then I will discuss about the preservation of hide. And in the second lecture I will discuss about the processing of hide and skin, that is how the hide is processed into leather. The skins and hides which are obtained in the process of slaughter from the abattoirs or meat plants, either during slaughter process or also from the outside carcasses, they are processed and converted into very useful product that is called leather. So the source of this leather is the hide or skin which comes from the meat plant or abattoir or from the dead animals outside. The skin from a fully grown large animal is called hide, and from a small stock, that is the small animals, that is from sheep, goat and pig, it is called skin. Animal hide represents 4 to 11% of the live weight of animal and one of the most valuable animal byproducts, and it contributes up to 60% of the total value of the byproduct obtained. Little more details about hide. As I have already told, hide means it is the skin from large animal. So actually it represents a very large, thick and heavy structure. To be precise, it is based on some weight. So in case of cattle and buffalo, it should be more than 30 pounds or 13.62 kg. So that is possible only in case of large animal. This weight of 13.62 kg is possible only in case of large animal. The average hide yield in case of large animal, that is 7% of the live weight. Now little more details about the skin that is pertaining to the small animal. So it is the integral outer covering from small animal like sheep, goat, pig. Even if it is from the calf, that is also called skin because it is low in weight, below the 13.62 kg as I have mentioned. So naturally the skin is comparatively small, thin and lightweight. Hide and skins are one of the most important byproducts of the animals, as I have already mentioned. So skin from small animal is also very valuable and it is also converted to leather. The yield of this byproduct varies in different species, and in case of skin it is up to 11% of the live weight. For all the skin, the ultimate destination is the tannery, where it is further processed and converted into leather. So that we will understand more details in the separate lecture. Now we will understand the source of hide and skin. So now when we say hide, it is from the large animal adult, and skin means small animals or small animal from the cattle category, that is calf. So source of hide, it is about 20 to 25% from slaughtered animals and 75 to 80% from fallen animals. Fallen animals means the animals which die naturally or due to disease and they are thrown away, and from there the hide is collected. So this is little bit of old concept because earlier days slaughter of such animal used to be very less. So major of it was coming from the dead animal, but nowadays due to slaughter of cattle is more, this picture could be little different. Whereas in case of skin, it is 80% from slaughtered animals and only 20% from fallen animals. So this is briefly about the source or origin of the hide and skin. So here is about the classification of hides or even skin in case of cattle. So when it is coming from the unborn calf, then it is called as slunk skin. And when it is coming from immature calf, that is after birth, that may have a weight of 9 to 15 pound and it is called calf skin. When it comes from little more mature calf, then it will be about 15 to 25 pounds and it is called kip skin. When it is from heifer and within a weight range of 25 to 30 pound, it is called heifer skin. So up to heifer it is skin because it is below 30 pound. Then in case of cow, it will be more than 30 pounds, so it is called cowhide. And if it is below 53 pound, it is called light cowhide. If it is more than 53, it is called heavy cowhide. In case of steer, the range is 32 to 48, that is called extremely light hide. And if it is 48 to 58 pound, it is called light steer hide. And when it is more than 58 pound, it is called heavy steer hide. And lastly, the bull hide range will be more weight, that is 60 to 100 pound, and it is called bull hide. Again, classification of cattle hide based on branding and flaying. So as you know, the branding is a practice for identification of cattle. So depending on that, it is having two categories, that is hides branded on butt or side. They are called Texas or Colorado hides. Whereas when the brand is not there on the hide, they are called native hides. Then according to the time of flaying. So when the flaying from slaughtered animals, they are called slaughtered hides. And when the flaying from fallen animals, that is from dead animals, they are called fallen hide or renderer or murrain hides. Then there is one more classification based on quality of flaying. So flaying by highly skilled workers, that is in a modern abattoir or meat plant, such hides are called big packer hides. And when it is flaying by less skilled workers in this ordinary slaughterhouses, then it is called small packer hides. So here is briefly about buffalo skin or hide. As you know, in India there is large number of slaughter of buffalo, and this buffalo meat is the major export from India, which earns huge foreign exchange. So they are called buffalo heifer skin when it is the female before giving birth, and buffalo hide when it is from other category, and then buffalo bull hide, that is from the male. So these are the three common terminologies used in India for buffalo skin. Here is the classification of sheep and goat skin. It is mostly based on the weight and length. They are in three categories: big goat skin, medium goat skin, and small goat skin. Big goat skin weight is 1.13 kg, length 96.5 centimeter and above. The region coming mostly from Punjab, Kashmir, Orissa and UP. The medium goat skin, the weight 0.91 kg, length 96.4 centimeter and downwards, and the region or of origin is Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and Karnataka. Then the last one is small goat skin. This will have a weight of 0.86 kg and below, and the length will be 76.2 centimeter and below, and the origin is mostly eastern part of India. Now briefly we will see about flaying, because the origin of the hide or skin is from the slaughter by the process of flaying. This part we have already discussed in my lecture that is in the slaughter process for different animal. So that lecture you can see. I will put the link below this video. So what is flaying? It refers to removal of skin performed by skilled workers by following a uniform pattern. So the process of removal of skin or hide during the slaughter is called as flaying, or sometimes also called as dehiding. In modern large abattoirs, skinning of buffalo and cattle is done on breech plates. So the animal is lowered onto this plate for skinning and is held in position by breech bar or a metal rod. So these are modern practice. It can be efficiently done on a skinning cradle. So this is little bit carved structure made up of steel tubes or pipes, or it can also be made with the help of round timber poles. So these are for hygienic practice. So after bleeding, the animal will be kept on this cradle, and then it is better and convenient for operation by the workers. Here briefly I will discuss about the procedure of flaying, which we have already discussed in earlier lecture as I mentioned previously. So there is a first thing is making some incision, and it is called ripping line. In case of large animal there are 3 ripping lines, and in case of small animal there is only one. So in case of large animal I am explaining briefly. With the help of flaying knife, hide is first opened from the neck and continued middle of dewlap, belly to middle of tail. That is the mid-ventral line, first ripping line. Then each leg opened by making an encircling cut between knee and hoof joint. Cut on foreleg is continued to breastbone and that of hind leg up to scrotum. So here we are getting 2 ripping line, one at the forelegs medial side from both, and one at the hind leg from medial side for the both legs. So hide is then separated from carcass by cutting from lower part of breast towards neck on one side and towards the navel on other side. With the help of tail grip and gambrel, which are connected to hook of the hoisting gear, the hind legs are hung and hide is removed from the tail. So with the help of gambrel, both the hind legs will be hooked and the carcass or animal will be hanging from the dressing rail, and the hide is pulled down by using the knife and other techniques. Carcass is raised and hide is pulled up back to the hump and then to shoulder and neck. So this is briefly about the flaying process. In case of small animal, there is only one ripping line, that is at the medial aspect of both the hind legs, and then it is inverted both way. And in case of modern abattoir, both the hind legs will be hooked with the gambrel and it will be hoisting from the dressing rail, and then slowly it will be pulled down. In case of small animal, the skin is little bit easy to remove with the help of our fist, and sometimes little bit of knife is to be used at the back side, and finally it is pulled down as a full case or a cover in a inverted manner up to the neck, and that is why this method is called case on flaying in case of small animal. So there will be only one ripping line, and the technique is called case on flaying in case of small animals. Characteristics of properly flayed hide. As I mentioned, this flaying process needs a lot of skill, and then we can get the perfect shape and size of the hide and skin. So some of the characteristics are like rounded rumps, equal width from central line of the back to the belly edge on each side, medium length in the shanks, regular dewlap and square outline. So after removing the hide, if we spread it, we can see the uniformity and proper even structure on both sides with a perfect shape. So that's due to the proper skill of hiding or flaying. Now we will briefly discuss about the damage and defects to hides, and it is in 2 categories. Firstly, damage due to disease conditions. It is due to the different kind of infection like parasitic, bacterial or viral, which causes some damage to the skin. The first is the mange. This is due to Demodex folliculorum, which causes hairless patches on skin, thickening of skin, grain damage, internal voids and holes on the flesh side. Then scabies. This could be two type, that is sarcoptic and sauroptic mange, which cause lesions in grain side, making tunnel between the fibers of corium, that is the actual dermis, which leads to formation of folds and thickening of the skin. So in such cases the skin is defective and the leather will not be good. Then ticks, mostly Buphyllus and Hyaloma species, as you know, they causes holes in hide and white spots on the flesh side that will not die, so the leather will not be good. And then lice. There are two kinds, biting or sucking parasites causing scratching, which leads to grain damage. Because of this, the leather will be defective. This is in continuation to damages due to disease. Another one is warble fly, that is Hypoderma species. The fly deposit ova on the hair of animal, hatch small larvae which penetrate skin and make pinholes in leather. Then ringworm, which is due to fungus, which causes hair fall and plaques are formed and causing grain damage. Then cowpox, that is mostly restricted to skin of udder region and in other tender areas, which causes dark spots on the leather. Then streptotrichosis, it affects large area producing thick rhino hide, which is unsuitable for leather processing. Then sweating thickness, this is tick-borne disease, which often causes the animal to rub the skin, leading to grain damage. Now let us understand about the damage due to faulty handling. The first one is fallen hide, that is the hide obtained from dead animals. So they are inferior in quality and have more damage due to difficulty in flaying, as subcutaneous tissue hardens after death. So after the death, the tissues become hard, particularly if it is delayed, and then removing the hide is very difficult, so there will be unavoidable damages. Then ground drying, which we are going to discuss later. For preservation, the hides are dried. During that, there will be lack of air circulation, or sometimes there will be direct sun rays exposing, causing the collagen denaturation and makes it unsuitable for tanning. Sometimes over drying also results in cracks and when it is folded, so that is also a big defect. There could be smoke damage that happens when kept close to fires or during rainy season in presence of smoldering twigs. Then another one is branding, which is a practice for identification. So red hot irons are pressed with numbers or identification. So this is leading to grain damage and reducing the value of the hide. This is in continuation about the damage due to faulty handling. Another one is the wear damage caused by inserting wires into brisket, dewlap and shoulder area or side region to draw up disease. So these are some of the orthodox or ritual practice when animal get disease. Then pressure sores. It's a common defect seen on hides derived from animals where compelled to lie down for prolonged period. So due to certain condition, animal lie down on one particular side, that can cause sores or pressure sores, and that affect the quality of hide. Then bad shape and pattern. The shape of the hide is determined by initial cuts made during flaying, which should be performed as per proper standard reaping lines. Otherwise the hide will lose its proper shape. And then knife damage. So this is due to carelessness or unskilled worker or improper knife causes damage to hides and skins. Few more damage or defect in hide due to faulty handling, like bruise. This takes place during transportation or during slaughter due to rough handling and rough objects which causes injuries and bruise and that damage the hide or skin. Then inadequate bleeding. So whenever there is incomplete bleeding, blood remains in the hide causing putrefaction by bacterial growth and particularly on the veins. So that cause to a defect, and sometimes that such kind of leather is called veiny leather. Then rubbed and dragged grain. So caused by pulling the carcass over the rough or damaged cement floor. So when the dead carcass is pulled, then it causes damage. Then scratches. It could be due to thorn or barbed wire or nails and horns and result in grain damage. So horn damage often happens between the animal due to their infighting. Then damage due to storage. Dried hides are susceptible to damage by insects, mostly due to larvae of the beetle. So when it is stored after drying, there could be insects and which can cause damage to the hide. So now we will discuss about the preservation of skin and hide. So far we have been discussing about the basic aspect, what is hide and skin, their source or the defects or flaying process. But after obtaining this hide and skin, it has to be properly handled and stored, which we are going to discuss now. Now let us know what is the need for preservation. So to temporarily preserve it from the time it is removed from the animal until it can be processed into final product. So many times the hide will not be used immediately for further processing or making leather. So in that period it will undergo decay and decomposition and it will lose the quality. So this hide or skin is prone to spoilage due to bacterial or enzymatic decomposition due to the presence of nearly 60% water and contamination with blood and manure. As we know, the animal will be dirty, particularly the outer surface is full of dung or inner side there will be blood. So it is a highly contaminated and there is a sufficient water. So due to bacterial growth there can be easy decomposition, or due to the inherent enzyme there could be autolysis. To prevent all this, hide needs proper preservation. So various end products can be manufactured from the raw hide like leather, gelatin or cosmetic ingredients. So that part we are going to discuss in separate lecture. Here is the brief steps for preservation as we have discussed. First there is flaying, then it has to be thoroughly washed because inner side or flesh side there will be large amount of tissues or blood or muscles. So first we should wash away the blood and other dirts, and in the outer surface it will be full of dust, dung and other contamination. So by washing we can reduce the microbial load and prevent the quick spoilage. Then next is trimming. This is the uneven portion, different part of the leg or tail or mouth region, all the uneven portion can be trimmed off so that it will become even in shape, and even there can be lot of muscle attaching, that also can be removed. And then again there should be one more washing. After that only it will go for actual process of preservation, which we will discuss now. Now we will discuss about the preservation of hide and skin. It is mostly done by drying or salting. So drying is only air drying or sun drying. So this is done by different ways. One of the technique is ground drying. So here hide is stretched out, keeping flesh side up by putting stones or pegging sticks to the ground or by using nails. Then there will be no air circulation from beneath. So moisture and heat are retained in the hair touching ground, making it more attractive medium for destructive bacteria. So this is the problem. Because of the improper movement of air, there is a risk for bacterial growth at a high temperature. Then blemishes are occurred in the form of hair slips and blisters. So this is another challenge when we are drying the hide in the air. And thirdly, ground dried hides are hard and prone to crack when folded. So this has to be fully dried, all the moisture has to go, and the moisture level should be around 10%. So 10 to 15%. So in such case, when we are folding it, there is a possibility of crack formation. So these are the limitations of air drying. So this is another method of drying that is done in frame. Earlier we have discussed about ground drying, which has got certain disadvantage or limitations which can be avoided here. In this case, hides and skins are suspended on the frame made up of woods or trees or bamboos. Even it can be with metal frame. And free air circulation from beneath and upper side avoid the disadvantages of ground drying. So here there is air circulation from all sides, so that damage due to ground drying can be avoided. And here there is direct sunlight should be avoided. So it should be under shade, or it should be in a slanting manner so that sunlight will not fall directly. Over drying should be avoided. Over drying leads to crack when folded. So in this case we can try to avoid the over drying. Now there is another method of preservation, that is by applying salt, and this is called hide curing. It can be done by dry salt application or wet salt. So in case of dry salting, salt packing helps in initial removal of moisture. A relative humidity of 85 to 90% with good ventilation and slanted platform is required for this. It involves stacking the hides flesh side up and applying fine salt about 2 to 3 millimeter thickness evenly. So there is a platform with a slanting surface on which the hide is sprayed with flesh side up. A layer of salt is applied, then another hide is kept over that, and then it is kept in stacking. So this stacking should not be more than 1 meter in height. The moisture drains onto the floor. Due to the slant, the moisture will come out and it will go to the drain and go out. So such hides retain only about 12% water. So this is about the dry. This is in continuation about the dry salting or salt pack curing. Here the salt is sprayed evenly on flesh side, done at hide cellar at 10 to 13 degrees Celsius for 85 to 90% relative humidity. The hides in stock are usually allowed to cure for 20 to 30 days. 1 part of common salt to 4 parts of anhydrous sodium sulfate is used to speed up the drying. So sodium sulfate helps in faster drying, and then hides retain up to 12% of water in this process, and then it is suitable for storage. Now about the wet salting, or this is also called brine curing, where a concentrated solution of salt is prepared and in which the hides are kept for dragging out the moisture. It is done by preparing a curing solution consisting of 23 kg pure salt and 62 kg of water for 100 kg of hides. A saturated brine solution can also serve the same purpose. The time varies from 48 hours for fleshed hides and 2 weeks for unfleshed hides. Unfleshed means the flesh is adhering on the flesh side, whereas fleshed means the flesh is removed. The hides are put on the slanted platform for draining. After this period of curing, it is kept on the platform so that water can drain out, and such hides are left with only about 35% water. So it is not as good as dry salting. Dry salting can drag the water more efficiently, whereas when we are dipping in the brine solution, it cannot remove the water to that extent. Now about vat curing. So these are the chambers in which the brine solution will be there and in which the hides will be kept for curing. So hides are cured in a 1.2 to 1.5 meter pit containing saturated brine. In this method, the brine will not be agitated, hence the curing time is more, that is 24 to 33 hours, because it cannot be mixed. So manually sometime we have to turn it and mix it. So this technique is not so efficient because the curing is slower and not uniform. Now this is mixer curing. This is a modern technique for mixing the curing solution with the hides in a very faster way. So it is suitable for small plants where good number of hides are available. A mixer can handle between 250 to 400 cattle hides at one time and is filled with saturated salt brine solution. So you can see in the picture, this kind of machines are used in cement mixing. So similar machines can be used for mixing with the brine solution and keeping the hides. So the hides are rotated in mixer for 6 to 12 hours at 3 to 3.5 RPM. So this is a small rate of rotation for 6 to 12 hours, then it will have a more efficient curing. Now here is the most modern method for curing or wet curing, that is raceway curing. So here it is raceway like tank is created. It is most modern method. Raceway shaped tank, or it is also called raceway vat. It is agitated by two overhead paddle wheels which circulates the brine and keep the hides moving. So the brine will be moving and the hides also will be moving with the help of overhead agitators. A typical 50,000 gallon raceway tank filled with saturated salt brine could hold 800 to 1200 cattle hides. So it is having a very large capacity and it will keep on mixing quickly, continuously. So there is a much more efficient curing. So this is a modern practice in large modern meat plant in good number. So now we are at the end of today's lecture. I will just summarize. So we have discussed about hide and skin, their source, definition, classification and methods for flaying for more skilled or good quality hide, and we also have discussed about the preservation of hide and skin, different methods, either by drying, different methods, or by salting, different methods. And of course we can also store hide and skin by cold storage. So nowadays cold storage is very common, so we can also store the hide and skin in cold storage. And finally, all this hide and skin should reach to the tannery where it will be processed into leather. So that I am going to discuss in separate lecture. Thank you.